Hi everyone, today is a very important topic for me to talk about, which is mental health. And if you follow me on any of my other channels, you'll probably know that I've been talking about this for probably the last year or two because of things that I've been through personally. So, experiencing kind of burnout in the business, the loss of two babies with my wife, a global pandemic, things that would derail most people. And particularly being a man of my age, so I'm 41 at the moment, or am I 42? Can never remember. 42, I think now. And that is a dangerous age for men at the moment. So we suffer 6,000 suicides in the UK every year, and the highest banding is 45 to 49-year-old men, which is scary. Females under 25 have grown like 100% in the last year or so, which is just really scary statistics. I've had a number of occasions over the last year or so where I found that friends of mine are really suffering as well, and I'm really glad that they've opened up to me, and I'm hoping that by me being so open, that encourages other people to be open about this topic as well, because one of the worst things is not talking, and there's some amazing documentaries on recently. So this is being recorded in where are we now? April of 2021. So we've just watched the Roman Kemp documentary. There's been documentaries about Caroline Flack and other famous people that have really suffered, and unfortunately with Caroline obviously gone on to commit suicide as well herself. So it's such an important topic, and one that we need to break the stigma on, because otherwise we will lose more people that we treasure, and that would be a tragedy. So what's this video about? This video is about the ways that I have dealt with mental health, or to improve my own mental health. And I'm going to run through some of those things that I've done. Number one, routines. So I've given myself, with each of these, I've given myself a rating out of 10 as well, to how it's helped me with my mental health. So to give you an idea of which ones maybe to prioritise. So routines is the first one. Routines, I've talked about on a video before, so I'm not going to go into much detail, but getting into a routine every single day and ensuring that you know what that routine is really, really helps your mental health. I've given it an 8 out of 10 for that particular point. Number two, bettering myself. So, but what do I mean by this? I mean that I lost... I used to like reading audiobooks or listening to audiobooks, reading books, reading business books, listening to podcasts, all of the things that would help you develop yourself personally. And as I struggled with my own mental health, I stopped doing that. And actually I recognised that doing it is really, really valuable for you, because you're listening to and reading positive people, and that really has a positive impact on yourself as well. So I've given that a 7 out of 10. My next one is reading. So reading is a way to escape the real world, right? And people talk about this escapism all the time, but I didn't recognise how important that was until I started doing it myself. So I didn't really read very much prior to probably 2019, which is a shame, because I absolutely love it now. I've devoured books over the last year or two. I try where I can to read fictional books, so fantasy related things like that, where I can go off into a different world and forget the challenges of the day. And I do that every single night, and I really put a very, very high importance on that. So I've given that a 9 out of 10. My next one is exercise. So, everyone says this, but mind and body, if you've got fit body, fit mind, etc., it is true, I'm not the perfect person when it comes to exercise, but I am exercising every single day now without fail, and I'm just doing 5, 10, 15 minutes where I can, and trying to up that every day. So, and I think that has just really helped me when it comes to my own mental health, because I'm making sure that I get going at the beginning of a day. So I'm giving that an 8 out of 10. The next one is counselling, or talking therapy. Now, I think this has a bit of a stigma. I ended up going to a counsellor because of the baby loss situation and being in a really dark place and needing somebody to talk to. So I did that, but I've remained with it, not quite as regularly, but I have remained with it. And I do that because I feel like it's a little bit like a top sportsman having a sports psychologist. There's no stigma around that. They are using that person to be a better version of themselves. So why would we not do that in our daily life as well? So going and speaking to people, talking about the troubles, the woes, the challenges that you've got in your life, and hearing other people's perspective, as well as just the kind of cathartic nature of it, talking out loud is so critical for mental health. So again, I've put that really high, and I've given that a 9 out of 10. My next point is one that I haven't given a rating to because I haven't really been doing it for long enough, but I've also invested in things like acupuncture and some very strange things called fascial stretch therapy. I also go to a masseuse as well, so I have massage regularly, and I do these things because they are a little time away from the day-to-day where again I can relax, I can get back into a good positive mindset, and it really just helps my mental health. So really, really important, those three things, but I haven't given them a rating just because I haven't really been doing them for long enough to do so. So the jury's still out, but I just feel with all these things that your mental health is so important, you've got to invest in it. The next thing is music. So music for me is really important. I love music. I have an eclectic music taste. But one of the things that I recognised early on in the pandemic particularly was that a particular type of music started to make me feel better. So I grew up in the 80s, and yeah, and I had fun in the 80s. I was a kid. I remember very vividly going down every weekend when my dad wasn't working, and he'd have the radio on, and obviously 80s music would be playing. So it brings back, conjures up like really, really nice memories for me. And so what I did was I found an 80s radio station, Heart 80s actually, and whenever I was in the car or at home, I'd play Heart 80s, and it would conjure up some of the same feelings in myself of what I went through when I was very, very young. So a really, really important one, and I've given that a 9 out of 10. It was that high for me. The next one is mindfulness. Now, again, I'm not perfect with this. I have the Calm app on my phone, which I love it. I love mindfulness. I think it's incredibly powerful, but I don't find the time to do it enough, and I want to change that this year. So on the day of Charlie's funeral, which was probably the hardest day of my entire life, I used mindfulness to stop my anxiety and hopefully not go into any kind of panic attacks. So I've given mindfulness a 9 out of 10. It's the process of using breathing and really kind of calming down, and there are some amazing apps out there which you can go and check out to see whether you might be interested in doing it yourself. My number one tip of all time when it comes to mental health is nature. Being in nature. And I can't place a high enough regard to this. I really can't. And I didn't really realise until the pandemic happened and we went into lockdown that this was so important for me. So I'm very lucky where I live. We live in Devon. We have Dartmoor near, we have the beaches near, Exmouth, places like that. But getting out into the woods even on a daily basis for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, and just being in nature and just appreciating it, it has been the number one thing that I've done for my mental health. If I can feel myself spiralling into a bad place, I will immediately now recognise that trigger and go, if I can, to the woods, to the sea, wherever it might be, and just relax and be at one with nature. I know it sounds a bit tree huggy, but it's so important. And if you can, even if you live in a built up area, if you can get to a park or somewhere like that where you've got grass and trees and things like that, I promise you it will help you and your mental health. So I'm giving that a 10 out of 10. It's the only one with 10 out of 10. Gardening. Tell me 10 years ago gardening would be on this list. No chance. So never really thought about it. But again, it's that nature thing, right? So we have a very small back garden. We don't have much lawn or anything. So we've gone down the pot route. But getting plants, going to the garden centre, all of these kind of things, I guess this is why they kept them open during lockdown, is really, really important. It has been important for me to plant things, to really just again, take my mind off the day-to-day, what's going on, and focus on the things that are the smaller things in life, but the ones that are really, really important and have had a positive effect on my mindset. So gardening I gave an 8 out of 10. The next one is journaling. So journaling is something which you do to get the thoughts out of your head onto paper. And again, this is very powerful, but you can only really appreciate it once you start doing it. What I would say is it's difficult to keep the habit up, so you need to try and find out a way of doing that if you can do. But I love journaling. If I have a really, really awful day, I'll definitely take to my journal. I'll write out the things that are causing me a problem, and then I will work on those from there. And even just getting it out onto paper really, really helps me. So I've given journaling an 8 out of 10. Home life, making sure your home life is the best it can be. So the small things that we do, we have in the evenings, we really try to focus on making our home life a lovely place to be. So scented candles, soft light. We use we don't have a fireplace at our house, so we use the the YouTube fireplace app, which is amazing. We play classical music in the background, very, very low volume, just to create a really soft environment that we are comfortable in and that we enjoy. So I've given that a 9 out of 10 because it's really important for me. Getting to the end now, triggers. 7 out of 10. Just understanding what triggers you, what creates your problems with mental health, and cutting them out of your life. We don't have time for this. Life is too short. So if people create these problems for you or certain scenarios, work out ways, write them down, work out ways of getting them out of your life, because that is a surefire way to mental health issues. And then finally, eat and drink. Now, I've given this a 9 out of 10. A good friend of mine once said to me that this is a little bit like you wouldn't put a low-grade fuel in a racing car. Same thing with eating and drinking. Don't put crap in. Crap in, crap out, he says. So, yes, eating well, good quality food, fresh food, and drinking well, lots of water, preferably no alcohol, that kind of thing will 100% help your mental health. So again, giving that a 9 out of 10 because it's so, so important. Guys, I'm sorry that is such a, well, not really sorry actually, that's such a long video, because it's really important. It's a topic that I feel very passionately about. I'm going to be talking quite a lot about it over the coming months and years. I really, really hope I'll probably delve deeper into some of those topics over the coming months on these videos. So make sure that you keep up to date with this, because if you are suffering, and many people do, then there are ways out of this. And there are natural ways out of this, and I've gone through a lot of those today. So if you like the video, please subscribe, please hit like, you know what to do, and until next time, I'll see you then.